raised my hand.
Stand for a pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. Fire exits are where you came in, clearly marked over here under here, and this is not an exit. The only two exits are this. Thank you for coming here tonight. It's a public hearing and it's a meeting of the Board of Fire Commissioners to answer any questions after the presentation of the building project. I'd like a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Make a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Introduce Mike Tatro. He's been the commissioner involved all the way through this project this time around and last time. And he's going to take the meeting from here.
And I'll shoot at me. For those who don't know me, I'm Mike Tatro, I'm one of the commissioners, and my primary function here is a part of the building committee. We have Commissioner Todd Jarvis, who's another member, and Ryan Guerin, who's the spearhead of this and a great driving force behind it all. Our architect in charge of the project, Dave Woodford from AES, he's the one that helped us go through the design phase and helped us with the funding and everything else, all the questions. So Dave has a short presentation of where we're at, some ideas on there I'd like to show everybody. If you have questions, I guess we'd entertain them then. Then after or whatever, after, okay. And then after that, we'll answer all our questions and have some other information for you. Okay. Dave?
You don't go any farther back. Good evening, everyone, and thank you. Can you see okay?
Yep.
All right. As Mike said, my name's Dave Whitford. I'm the principal architect at AES Northeast. I've been working with your Board of Commissioners and the project committee. I think we've been working on this since last spring, so about 8 months now. Before we talk about the project, we want to give you a little background about your fire district and fire department and hose company. Mike already touched on quite a few of the commissioners and officers. We've got some of the officers listed here. And then, like Mike said, the main people that worked on this the past 8 months is Mike, Ryan, and Todd here in the front row. They really developed the project with us to figure out and meet the needs of the fire district. So. This is your fire district map in the green area, which borders on Canada on the north, Lake Champlain on the east, Shazy on the south, and then St. John's Road on the west. So that's your fire district. That covers approximately 2,300 parcels and 1,600 structures, about 59 square miles. And the fire department gets over 200 calls per year, up to 225 sometimes, and serves a population of 5,800 people. So that's your fire district. And it obviously includes the village of Rouse's Point. You see that little white area carved out in the northeast corner. This is a floor plan of the current fire station. It's a one-story steel building. It was built in 1986, so it's 33 years old. About 4,600 square feet. It has 4.5 truck bays, multi-purpose room, which we're in right now, a kitchen and office. And the property around it is about 3.1 acres. A little outline or idea of what your fire department has. About 7 vehicles here, including pumper trucks and tankers and rescue trucks, brush trucks, and so on and so forth, plus UTV. I presume that's for going in the woods and places where you can't get vehicles. Water rescue boat, portable generators used sometimes. So that's kind of your fleet. This is the headquarters for Niagara Hose Company and the fire department, about 46 volunteers. And these are the kind of services that your fire department provides. They don't just put out fires, they provide mutual aid to Vermont and Canada. They provide rescues on Lake Champlain. They cover 3 border crossings, cover hazardous material spills on the railroad and Interstate 87. They provide assistance for animal rescue, cleanup around town, search and rescue operations, and they also provide assistance to the New York State DEC when requested. So lots of services provided by your fire department. The typical training for a new member is about 140 hours to become a firefighter, and about 40 hours of training every year for every current member. So lots of volunteer hours go into being a firefighter. So these are the existing buildings that are currently rented or owned by the fire district. The picture on the left is the cold storage building that's up behind us, behind these windows. The picture in the middle is the current fire station we're in, and the picture on the right is the building that's rented by the fire district over on Oak Street, which costs about $12,000 a year in rent and utilities to keep some of the apparatus over there. Some pictures of some of the conditions of the existing fire station. On the left, you can see rust and deterioration developing throughout the building. The picture in the middle is moisture damage in some ceilings, and the picture on the right, you can see the rusted and rotted siding that's developing all around the building. So, 33 years old, starting to show quite a bit of age. Some more pictures of the inside of the fire station. The picture on the far left, you can see the exit door on the left, and then the fire truck, and a very, very little space there for a firefighter to actually walk down beside the truck and get into the vehicle. So pretty tight quarters. And the picture in the middle, you can see the bumper of the fire truck is almost right up to the overhead door. So very, very tight quarters. By the way, the New York State Building Code requires a 36-inch aisle around the entire fire truck for general safety at all times. You simply cannot do that here. There's not enough space to have proper aisles around the fire trucks. And then the picture on the right, you can see a gear rack. They're doubling up on the gear rack, so you're using 2 sets of gear per locker, and they're intended to be, 1 locker per volunteer. And due to lack of space, they have to double up on the gear racks. Some more pictures of the congestion that is kind of overwhelming the fire department here. The picture on the left is the storage building again up the hill a little bit. Lawn tractor and chairs and other things that the fire department needs for different functions. The picture in the middle is a picture in the attic above us. You can see extra gear sets for firefighters up there, stored next to the furnace. And then the picture on the right is a picture at that Oak Street building where you're storing other apparatus, TV, the boat, and so forth. I think you can see pretty tight, cramped quarters over there as well. So this process of figuring out what to do with this fire station started a long time ago, actually back in 2012. I'm not going to read every one of these lines to you, but the Board of Fire Commissioners has been working on this idea of improving the fire station for a long time. And as you probably already know, did present a project way back in 2016, which was rejected by the voters. But the board wanted everyone to know that they've been through several gyrations to figure out what's the right size of this project and the costs that go with that and so on and so forth. But then the board decided, after the vote was rejected, we can't give up, nothing's changed. We're still renting buildings in town to store vehicles, it's very, very inefficient. A firefighter may come here and have to go over to Oak Street to get something and so forth. So the board said, we can't give up, we've got to do something, and they reestablished a committee last year, around January 2018, to relook at the project again and try to improve the fire station. So we pretty much spent all summer and fall of 2018 coming up with this project that we're going to show you. So So this all started 7 years ago. So this is the heart of the project. If you look at the 3D drawing in the upper right corner, you can see a 3D drawing of the existing fire station on the left and the proposed addition on the right. And down below you can see the proposed floor plan for the fire station. On the left in the blue is the existing fire station, and in the pink is the proposed addition on the fire station. So the addition would go out behind us, these windows behind you, that's where the addition would go. So the proposed addition is 61 feet by 110 feet, about 6,700 square feet. That would have an emergency personnel conference room, a multi-purpose room, and that multi-purpose room would also serve as an emergency shelter. So the commissioners have decided if this project goes ahead, this will definitely become an emergency shelter for the community. That room would have a capacity of about 120 for large meetings and so forth. And would have a kitchen to support that, plus offices for the fire department and Niagara Hose, public bathrooms. And the key component of the addition is 3 new large apparatus space for the fire trucks and equipment. So that everything can be brought back here from Oak Street and everything can be put in one place or stored in one place. In the blue area, the proposed alterations consist of a new decontamination room. The fire department does not have a decontamination room right now, and that is a requirement of the NFPA standards, which are national standards for fire stations. The purpose of the decon room is to allow the firefighter to come back to the station in their gear, hose off their gear, because they're coming back to the fire station with a lot of contamination on their equipment, in their jacket, and their hat, and their boots. And actually there's a lot of studies out there that indicate firefighters are actually developing a higher rate of cancer than the average citizen in the U.S. because the firefighter is exposed to a lot of carcinogens in a fire, and they're carrying that back to the fire station, and unfortunately carrying it to their homes and so forth. So there's a higher rate of cancer amongst firefighters. So the decon room is that first defense to help improve that. There'll be a separate gear storage room, and in the lower left corner, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of small. We're going to take one of the bays. Let's see if I can enlarge this for you. So over here, I just changed one more time. So over here in the left corner is one of the truck bays or vehicle bays. They want to convert that into a standby room and a radio room. So that would eliminate one truck bay, but give them a standby room and a radio room right up front where they have high visibility to what's going on around the whole station. So they would retain the 3 bays here across the front, facing Elm Street. There's one bay right here in the middle that would be expanded. And then where we are located, there will be another new large truck bay right in this area where we are sitting right now. And then the 3 new large truck bays that I spoke about before. That gives them 3, 6, that gives 8 legitimate size apparatus bays for all the equipment. So all the equipment could be stored here in one place. I kind of went through that quickly, and if you want me to pause or whatever, just let me know. That's kind of the heart of the project that was developed over the past 8 months with the committee. This is the proposed site plan that would go with the project. So on the right you can see a drawing. Again, in the blue footprint is the existing fire station, and the pink footprint is the proposed addition. And all that gray area is the proposed parking and driveway areas, and those blocks of yellow would be parking. So they would have parking space for about 75 vehicles in the case of a public event or whatever, some kind of emergency or something, and this is a command post, and you'd have plenty of parking for everybody. Another part of this proposal is to add a new driveway. Let's see if I can zoom in on this for you. So, right now, current driveway is right here. And one of the improvements would be to widen this driveway so it's safer for fire trucks and so forth to get in and out of there. It's pretty narrow, a little bit steep, so the firefighters then need to make that wider so it's easier to get vehicles in and out of this fire station quickly. And then the second part of the driveway proposal is to create a new separate public entrance here on, closer to the commissioner's office next door, where the public would come in and park for any type of public event. So two driveways, one for firefighters and one for the public. This yellow parking area right here, directly across from the fire station, would be 15 dedicated spaces for all your firefighting personnel when they come to the station. And that's kind of the site plan. Obviously, you'll be regrading the property and adding storm drainage and driveways and paving and so forth. And we talked about 75 parking spaces and widening the entrance at the street. So this was the project cost that we developed last fall, and we went through this many, many times to come up with the cost estimate. So the total project cost is $4,515,000, and your commissioners have been saving money for quite a few years actually, and they're going to appropriate $650,000 from the reserves toward the project, and that's what it was being saved for, to reduce the net project cost to the community to $3,865,000. At the same time, the commissioners have applied for a low-interest loan and grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture called the Rural Development Office. The Rural Development Office has various loan and grant programs throughout the U.S., and they do offer grants to fire district. I think Colton Fire District just got a grant maybe last fall for about $100,000. And we actually started talking to the RD office down in Waterville, I think it's in Waterville, toward Albany, last fall, and asked them about the potential to get a grant, and they said it was very highly likely that this fire district could get around $100,000 grant that could be used for equipment. Now, I'm not talking about trucks, I'm talking about equipment in the building, like gear racks, or kitchen equipment, or other equipment that's built into the building. So that application is pending with USDA, and that does take some time to go through them. Unfortunately, they were shut down, in the early part of the year, but they're back up and running again. So the anticipated net project cost is $3,765,000 if the fire district is successful in getting the grant. Along with that, the fire district is also applying for a low-interest loan with the USDA. And oftentimes, the terms for those are longer than a conventional loan or a bond, and the rates are lower. So sometimes there's an advantage to borrowing money from the USDA, which would keep your taxes down. So the tax increase will be estimated at 45 cents per $1,000 of assessed value. The average assessed value of a home in the fire district is about $111,000. So the annual increase would be $49.95, or about $4.16 per month for the average home, or about the cost of a gallon of milk. So if your assessed value is different, you just multiply 45 cents times the assessed value divided by 1,000, obviously, and that would give you the increase in your, in your particular situation, the increase in your taxes. This is the project schedule if it's approved by the voters in April. So we're obviously working on the public meetings in March, and in April, there'll be a vote. And that's, if that's successful, in May, we'll begin the full design of the project, addition and so forth, develop detailed construction drawings, specification, and all the bidding documents that are required for a public project. So that, we'll work on that from May till November, about a 6-month period. And then the idea is to put the project out to bid early winter of 2020. Would actually like to advertise, the commissioners would like to advertise in December of 2019 and get the project awarded in the early winter of 2020, and then start building in April of 2020 and finish the project by the end of 2020, about 8 months, 8 to 9 months to renovate and build the addition and site work and so forth. Some final thoughts from the project committee and the board. This fire district applied for the low interest loan I spoke about and the grant from the USDA. So they really have been looking around for any source of funds that can be found. There's not a lot for fire districts, but there is this program with the USDA available to fire districts. The fire station's been a home base during national disasters, ice storms, and will continue to be an emergency shelter. The board believes this is a sensible addition, an alteration project that's more economical, less expensive than a new fire station. A new fire station probably in the neighborhood of $67 million for a brand new fire station this size. So it's a lot less money to add on and renovate than it is to build new. But this station is 33 years old and deteriorating, so the board feels this situation needs to be addressed. The biggest issue is the lack of space for apparatus and equipment, as you saw in the photos, and the new requirements for fire departments, which is not safe and not efficient, and that increases response time. And the final thought is the addition and renovation will last for at least 30 years. The current station's lasted 33, obviously, so with modern construction techniques and materials, it will easily, the addition and renovation will easily last 30 years. The life of the building. So the vote is scheduled for Tuesday, April 9th, 1 to 9 p.m. right here at the fire station. And that concludes the presentation. I'm sure we'll be glad to answer any questions that anyone has.
Questions? Concerns?
You sent out this mailer. I remember 4 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever that was, a lot of people didn't get this because they had P.O. boxes. Have you alleviated that problem this time?
Yeah, so this time what we did is we were aware that we did not reach the entire base that we wanted to reach. I think last time we sent out 400. I went to the post office personally, and then in working with the board and the commissioners, we decided that we're going to try something called every door direct mail through the post office. So basically what that does is it covers every single physical address within the fire district, and the post office actually did a personal favor to us and stuffed every P.O. box that did not belong to a Canadian citizen or to a business. So anybody that's a resident that had a P.O. box should have received a flyer. I also had to do the same thing with Chazy Post Office because, as you know, or may not know, some of our fire district, Champlain Fire District, encroaches into the town of Chazy. So some residents that would pay a fire tax to the Champlain Fire District would pay town taxes for Chazy and have a Chazy mailing address. So we sent out 2,000 this time, as opposed to 400 last time. So we feel we've reached a much wider base.
Nothing in Rouse's Point that overlaps?
Nothing in Rouse's Point. Rouse's Point is a completely separate
I know,
postal code.
but
The districts should match with their zip code. So our fire district boundary should stop where their fire district boundary starts. That's all Rouse's Point zip code. So there's no encroachment where Rouse's Point citizens should be voting here.
did you verify that, or did you just
That was done
assume?
through the town.
Well, Rouse's Point's an incorporated village. They have
Right,
their
right.
own-
I know, but
their
the
own code.
mailing might not just end at the boundary lines. I don't,
The post office did not say otherwise. I was very clear with what we wanted to do. I asked them for town line maps, and then I got our fire district line maps, and we matched the two. And basically what we did is I brought them to the post office and I said, I need to reach every physical mailing address and PO box that is covered for a resident that pays taxes in our fire district. And that's what we came up with for numbers, and that's who we mailed them to.
Well, do you have a voter registration list when people come here to vote?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a master list for who is a registered voter that falls within a fire district, yep.
It's the
So-
same voting list that we use for electing district
Well, see, the
members.
last time we sent the mailers out, it went to the registered voters, which in the town of Champlain. That's why everybody didn't get them. A lot of people weren't registered.
Mainly the people that had PO boxes that didn't get them.
That too, yes,
Right.
absolutely.
So there was some confusion I saw on Facebook. It says register to vote before March 8th. But that's only if you're not, if you're registered to vote for the
Right.
town elections, you're registered to vote.
Absolutely, right. Yep.
So,
Everybody
just-
should be registered to vote
Right.
in our election, shouldn't they?
yeah, right, yeah, I'm saying that, but
You're
was
hoping they
confusing.
are.
it was,
We wanted to include that in there because it's very possible that there were people that were able to be registered to vote in the town that should have a say, because ultimately this could and will affect them as well.
right.
And if
So
they're not
even-
currently registered to vote and have that ability
Right.
to, they have to do so 30 days prior to an election, which is what that date.
Right, yeah, but I'm sure, but it did confuse some people who are registered and say, well, I gotta go register to vote in this, you know, so there was some confusion there, you know. It didn't say, if you're not already registered to vote, register. It's that little line, you know,
Right.
you know what you're saying, but
Right.
you gotta read it, the person
Right.
who doesn't know what you're saying and
I
understands
mean, worst
it.
case scenario, they go to register to vote because they didn't know any different, and then the town or the county tells them you're already registered, you're good to go.
Or worst case scenario is they didn't register on March 8th and they think they can't vote, so we gotta make sure people
Which is
know.
possible too.
But make sure people know that if they're registered to vote, they can vote.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions? Concerns?
This firm that this gentleman worked for, does he work for himself or is it a firm?
Say yes, you want to talk a little bit about your?
Oh, our company?
Yeah.
They're very rinky-dink, I don't know.
AES is located in Plattsburgh. We have staff of about 45 people. Architects, different types of engineers, construction managers, grant writers, all types of support staff. We've been in business since 1988. We do fire stations around the community. The last one we did was in Keysville. It was about the same size, around a $4 million fire station project. Went very well, very successful. There's six partners at AES Northeast, engineers, architects, and surveyors. We also do land surveying. So that's what AES does in a nutshell.
I
Okay,
might
with
add-
that, what is it costing the district to hire your firm to do what you're allegedly doing with this project?
You mean the current cost or the future?
The what?
You mean what?
You charge a percentage, right?
No, it's actually, it's a lump sum fee that we'll propose to the commissioners when the time comes.
So they don't know now what it's costing?
Yes, they do. We give them.
Okay, what is it costing the district now to hire your firm?
You mean up to today?
Today or yesterday, what's the difference?
Okay. I think we spent maybe $15,000 last year on,
Yeah.
How much?
About
about
15,000.
$15,000
To date,
Today.
today.
but it could cost you how much?
If the project gets awarded, it would be a percentage, what is it, about 10-15% of the
About
project cost?
About 8%.
8%.
But I gave you guys a full
Yeah.
budget. They've seen a full budget, yeah.
So at this point in time, you spent $15,000 to be where you're at.
Correct.
Should it be approved, there's a percentage that they charged to continue on with you.
Yes.
Correct.
You gotta keep in mind all the money that was paid out to do similar projects and similar work with this company the last time the voters did reject this. That basically was money that was for nothing because we were back to square one and had to start over.
The first instance didn't cost anything?
It did.
Yes.
It did, but it was basically for nothing because the vote was rejected. So that was money that the district is out, had to pay the company to basically do everything we've done to this point, and then the vote was rejected, so we had nothing to show for that.
We lost it basically.
I mean, you can't do these projects without engineering and consultants.
Tell me about it.
Well, yeah, you would know. So, I mean,
that-
the other thing is the 4 million or 3.7, whatever the hell we're spending here, you have to remember that this is municipal money, so we're tied to this Bacon-Davis Act, which is prevailing wages, 4 major contractors, and this drives the cost way up. I mean, if this was done on the private sector, you could probably do this for 30% less.
Or
But,
more.
or better, you know, but I mean, that's out of our hands, we have no control over that, these are state and federal regulations. So, I mean, I don't like
That's
the
all
cost.
fine and dandy, but I think that the voters in the district should be kept abreast at what the total costs are for this project.
We have all that, it's all public information, anybody wants to see it, come to a fire district meeting or get a hold of one of us, we'd gladly show it to you.
We only give you 5 minutes to talk at a fire
Oh,
district.
you wanna talk all afternoon, Bing, I'll buy you the coffee.
Another question, down the center of this driveway, is there still a water line that goes down through there?
There's
Or
a drain line.
a sewer, not a sewage line,
Drainage.
a wastewater
Yeah.
piping or something?
Storm
It's
drain.
on the center of the
Storm
driveway?
drainage.
Huh?
There's a storm drain, yes.
Storm,
Yeah.
still there, right?
Yeah.
And you can't build over it?
We aren't proposing to build over it, we're proposing to build probably, not up to it, but, you know, alongside of it. We're not gonna, yeah, we're not gonna build over it.
No, just be parking area.
Kind of far away from it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a good
The
distance
the
away
building's
from it.
gonna be about the same width as this, only straight back.
Exactly.
Right, same footprint,
Yeah.
just take it back.
That storm drain is right about here, so it's right through the, kind of right through the middle of the whole parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we need to replace a piece or two, you know, along with that and extend it, you know, that's part of the
When
project.
was that done, you know?
Oh, God, 20, well, it was done, what, just after you built the station, like that.
Well, we put in the,
That was put in back in the 90s.
yeah.
Bob Sullivan was the superintendent then,
It's all SDR,
yeah.
not SDR, but the M12 pipe,
Good place.
the plastic pipe.
The only comment I have too is we started this project actually, you know, the committee's done a great job so far and we kind of revitalized it. A few years ago, when we, it was a different board than I think the only person on the board right now that was still on the original board is John Fillion. But we spent a lot of time and effort looking around town and trying to identify locations, and I can remember going up to Mike's office and him laughing at me and saying, well, you guys can't make it, how hard can it be? Well, now he knows, but, there's been a lot of work, and most importantly, there's been a lot of missed opportunities over the years. The only thing I know for sure is that as we continue to wait and continue to, grow as a fire district, it's gonna be more expensive. That's one thing we know for sure. It's very challenging, there's not a lot of places in town, other than this location where we could build. It is needed, and there's been even before this committee, there's been a lot of time and research. We had an architectural firm, actually donate their time back then. Came over from Vermont every meeting, and we just weren't ready at the time. Just, you know, the board wasn't ready. We were also trying to survive at the time, trying to cover as a village fire department. And I don't mean that in any disrespect, but there was a lot of debt that we had to solve and trucks that we had to buy and things of that nature. So we've come a long way. And we have a capital reserve, which has worked out quite well, and even a capital reserve for this building, which is, but there's been a lot of time and effort and research by a lot of different people. I can't remember what year we started the fire district, but over many years. 2000,
He's 20 years old,
20 years old. That's,
last January.
wow. Time flies, but, so. The only good thing is we got Mike on the board out of that whole deal because asked him to join so we could identify, keep identifying places and keep working on this project, and this committee's done a superior job.
Thing to remember too is, the requirements are changing a lot in the fire service now. And you're well aware of this with the Cancer Act.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to spend money this year on insurance for cancer for the firefighters. You know, it's not cheap to do that, and like that decon room, those are required now, we don't have that here. And cancer is a very serious thing, I'm sure everybody's been affected by somebody or someone who knows who's had cancer. So, you know, we have to modernize, we have to protect the firefighters because they're getting fewer and fewer to find. So,
How are your numbers, membership numbers?
our membership numbers, we've got about.
Around 45 members.
What would you like? Is that what you want?
Our bylaws say 55, so
You think this would help recruit?
possibly.
Couldn't hurt.
But like Mike talked about the Cancer Act, and that's coming down the pike from the state, and Chris, with the county, there'll come a time you're gonna decontaminate your firemen right at the fire scene.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna stay right there.
Your firemen will probably leave in a special suit. I mean, we've already getting information that's possibly into the future. Firemen will leave in a special suit, get to the scene, gear up, and then when the scene is done, gear down, clean their gear there, have another suit to wear to get back in the truck to come back to the station. These are all volunteers. These aren't paid professionals. So,
20 below and the wind's blowing, you're gonna do all that?
yeah.
The thing you have to realize too is if that does and when it does happen, you're greatly increasing response time, which is already hard when we have such a big fire district and have to pull members to come to the station, gear up as it is, get in the truck, and then respond to a far part of the district. And you know, when we have to store apparatus and equipment remotely, you know, half three quarters a mile away, that already increases response time. So as stuff like this comes down the pipe, fires are burning faster and hotter than they ever have. Nothing's made old like it was with the solid woods. It's all plastics and composite materials. They burn hotter, they burn quicker, and they burn nastier. So anything we can do to improve response time isn't necessarily going to benefit us. This is going to benefit the community and you as the public. That's another big point we want to stress to you guys. It's the benefit of having everything under one roof.
I think what I like about this design too is that, and I was against the EMS separating from the fire department, because we're pulling from the same amount of people, we're pulling from the same pool of people. But I was wrong, and at the end of the day, the EMS is doing well, both in the town of Champlain and the town of Morris. But it's a workplace, it's a transition. Volunteer EMS is no longer, they have a workplace up there. What I like about this design is that unfortunately someday if our volunteer pool declines, this design is well suited for if this were to become a workplace. And if you have a workplace, you have to have standards in place. So, and by all rights too, even though we're all volunteers, this is actually a workplace too. So there's a safety aspect that we have to follow, even though we're not getting paid. We're members of the fire district, which is a municipality. So I like the safe workplace aspect of this design.
Well, that was the other thing we did as a project committee. When we came up with this design, nothing we have incorporated in this design is anything that we don't need. Every part of this we need, and it serves a specific purpose right now. But we also designed it and want to build it around what we could possibly need 10, 15, 20 years from now, if that does happen, if the cancer stuff happens. Having the second gear room, having the gear room, having the decon room. If this ever has to turn into a workplace or a national disaster ever does happen, we're not only planning for what we need now, we're also planning for the what if. So we're prepared. So we don't have to go to the taxpayers in another 10, 15, 20 years and say we need more money because now we need to add this element to the station. You can never tell what's coming down the pipe, but we built this, or we designed this to the best of our abilities to not only meet our needs now, but to extend years and years and years into the future.
The other comment I have, I printed this off, I got this from the assessor, it's the county, town tax, city information, it's available on the internet. And basically it lists all different towns in Clinton County and what the tax rates are for different things, lighting districts, water districts, fire districts, EMS. Our tax rate currently is $1.36 per thousand. So, pardon me?
Fire.
Yes, for the fire. So with the 45 cent that we're proposing, it's still less than $2. Now, town of Beekmantown has a fire district tax rate here of 55 cents, but you have to also realize that they get money through the windmills, wind farms. They pay for a lot of this. That's on the low end. Blind Mountain's fire tax is $3.83 per thousand. That's on the high end. So we're shortly or slightly under $2, so I feel that this is very affordable. Nobody likes an increase, especially me, ask the guy. But at less than $2 for what we're getting, it's not gonna get any cheaper 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. I don't care how much money you save, the cost of everything goes up proportionately. Since the last time we did this, we went through the recession, or no, the steel increase went up.
Steel tariffs.
The tariffs, so, you know, everything goes up. But at the less than $2 per thousand, I think this is very affordable for this town. My opinion.
And Mike, you probably don't agree with me, but, for once, but the water, at the time when this came up to vote last time, the water district was going through and there was a lot of controversy around that. At the end of the day, it's a good project. The water project is and still is a good project. You can't attract business unless you have good water and sewer and infrastructure and all that kind of good stuff, so I think it's just a matter of timing. I think the timing's much better, and I know our job is easier because of the water project, and I don't wanna mix the two, but one does help the other, and I think the timing is
Well, we
better.
have 63 new fire hydrants to play with, so.
Yeah, and that makes our job a lot easier, because we do more than just fire. I know you guys we're concentrating on the fire aspect, but we do so much more than fire, and David and the committee did a good job highlighting that. But the fires are only a small part of what we do. We do so much more for the community, and you have to have a good base to start with. And I know I've been in a situation where I've gone up to Oak Street, we get an ambulance or a fire truck, and thank God we have a person that gives us that building for a very decent rate. But when you're running to get a piece of emergency equipment, you don't have that. You don't have a lot of time, and you don't want to put yourself at danger either trying to find this equipment. So.
Any other questions, comments? Do you like it, don't like it? Well, somebody likes it. If Todd had won the lottery, this wouldn't cost anybody anything, but I didn't see the big check, so.
I haven't got it yet.
Good job, guys.
Seeing no more comments? Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you all for coming.
If you wanna come back, there's another one in 2 weeks, 26, I believe.
Yeah, next meeting is Tuesday the 26th, 2 weeks from today, same time, same place. And then 2 weeks after that, April 9th, be a Tuesday from 1 PM to 9 PM will be public voting for this project.
Any questions on the finances or what we've spent so far? Those questions can be answered. Just stop at the little house next door Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. Tammy will be there and she can look up that information for you. I hope.
Thank you, everyone.